So picture this, the Clementine Hall. For centuries, this incredibly ornate room in the Apostolic Palace has hosted kings, presidents, popes.
The absolute centers of power.
Exactly. But on this particular Saturday, the air was just thick with something completely new. I mean, the highest concentration of global movie stars ever assembled under a Vatican fresco.
It's this wild collision, right? The Vatican and Hollywood. And just 6 months into his pontificate, Pope Leo XIV pulls off this huge, high-stakes cultural summit. The cameras are flashing, the media goes crazy, and suddenly the headline is everywhere. Pope Leo's Hollywood Summit exposed.
Welcome to Starscope Report. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Jamie.
Our whole mission here is to cut through that noise.
Yeah.
We dive deep into the stories behind the fame, we uncover the Hollywood drama, the music industry shakeups, and yeah, the viral scandals that are really shaping our world.
And tonight we are unpacking what on the surface looks like just a cultural photo op, but it was actually a very carefully executed global power move. This was soft power diplomacy, using movie stars as weapons.
Okay, so let's really get into this meeting. It happened Saturday, November 15th, 2025. Formally, the event was put on by the Vatican's Dicastery for Culture and Education.
Which is basically their Ministry for Cultural Outreach for anyone not up on Vatican bureaucracy.
Right, and they framed it as just, continuing Pope Francis's tradition of engaging with artists.
But the scale here was just different. This wasn't a handshake line. I mean, the sheer volume and, frankly, the quality of the guest list just guaranteed global media saturation. The list itself reads like the seating chart for the Oscars.
It really does. You're talking about A-list directors, actors from the U.S., from Europe, Spike Lee and Martin Scorsese, who actually helped organize the whole thing.
And then you have Cate Blanchett, Greta Gerwig, George Miller.
And it kept going. Chris Pine, Viggo Mortensen, Gus Van Sant, and then even, Hollywood comedy royalty. Judd Apatow and Leslie Mann were there.
Adam Scott, Dave Franco, Alison Brie, the Italian icon Monica Bellucci. This was not a casual get-together. This was a statement.
And what's so fascinating is the personal investment from the Pope himself. Pope Leo is 70, and observers kept noting he was, quote, seemingly starstruck.
That detail is so key because it grounds this whole global strategy in his authentic American past.
He didn't just walk through the room. Vatican correspondents said he spent nearly an hour greeting and chatting amiably with each of the participants.
Which, they noted, is something he rarely does for large audiences. He was signaling that this industry, this culture, it really matters to him, personally and strategically.
And the gifts, the cultural exchanges were just pure cinema. You have Spike Lee, a massive basketball fan, presenting the pontiff with the New York Knicks jersey, with the name Leo and the number 14 on the back.
A Knicks jersey. When everyone knows the Pope is a Chicago Bulls fan, it's just the ultimate diplomatic absurdity.
Right. Lee had to give this whole layered excuse, saying the gift was for 3 Knicks players who went to the Pope's alma mater, Villanova.
It's perfect. That one moment sent around the world, it just summarizes the whole play, bridging the sacred and the secular through pop culture, even if it means a little Knicks versus Bulls confusion.
And if you needed any more proof that this papacy is, operating on some meta-cinematic level, the Italian actor-director Sergio Castellitto was there.
Okay, so Castellitto starred in that 2024 film Conclave, right? He played a traditionalist cardinal.
Yes. And the sources reveal that Pope Leo XIV, who was then Cardinal Prevost, he actually watched that specific movie right before entering the real conclave that elected him Pope.
That's just life imitating art. It's unbelievable. You have to wonder if his starstruck reaction was partly just awe that his own life had basically become a sequel to a movie he just saw.
It really underscores the self-aware nature of this papacy. But the photo op, that was just the packaging. The real agenda was in the speech. And if you're loving these breakdowns of celebrity and power, make sure you're subscribed to Starscope Report.
Yes, stick with us because those high-profile guests were just the vehicle for the Pope's real message, and it was a direct challenge to the entire entertainment industry.
The headline from his speech, really, is that Pope Leo explicitly rejected simple escapism. He called authentic art a prophetic tool for change.
So he's basically handing Hollywood a mission statement for his entire papacy.
Exactly. Let's delve into that vision, because he laid out 3 main themes. The first was his idea of cinema as a democratic art.
Right. He urged filmmakers to, quote, use their art to include marginal voices. He completely rejected artistic elitism.
Yeah.
He called film popular art in the noblest sense.
And that connects so directly to his own life story, which you have to understand to get the context. He's the first American-Peruvian pope, a dual citizen who spent decades as a missionary in Peru.
A nation on the world's economic margin. So when he talks about inclusion, it's not some academic idea, it's his life's work.
Then came the second theme, maybe the most provocative one, the prophetic function. This is where he really drew a line in the sand between entertainment and true art.
His key quote here is just so defining. When cinema is authentic, it does not merely console, but challenges. He said it should provoke tears that we did not know we needed to express.
Wow. So this isn't feel-good art. This is art that's supposed to make you uncomfortable, force you to feel something.
Cate Blanchett even commented on that tears line later, saying it really resonated. And you see this framework art as a necessary challenge. It's the blueprint for his governance.
We saw it in action almost immediately. Days after this speech, he holds a very officially announced meeting with Reverend James Martin.
A huge advocate for marginalized LGBTQ+ Catholics.
And the meeting was framed with that todos, todos, todos line, everyone is welcome. The speech was the parable, and that meeting was the immediate application.
And if you connect it back to his past in Peru, this idea of challenge perfectly describes how he handled that abusive SCV movement.
The Sodalicium Christiani Vitae.
Right. It was this lay society that became notorious for just horrible, widespread abuse. And he was instrumental in cleaning it up. He supported the journalists. He listened to the victims who challenged that power structure. He's telling Hollywood to do what he did.
Be prophetic.
Exactly.
And finally, theme 3 was surprisingly practical. The sanctity of the theater. This was him jumping right into local Italian politics.
He issued this forceful urge to institutions not to give up on local cinemas. He called them the beating hearts of our communities.
And this wasn't just some philosophical idea. It came right in the middle of a huge debate in Rome about turning like 50 historic cinemas into shopping malls.
So he used his global stage to intervene in urban planning. He's basically saying the shared space of a movie theater is sacred.
So, okay, we have a pope who is personally invested, philosophically challenging, and politically engaged with movies. But here's the strategic exposure.
The timing.
The whole high-impact, positive story was timed for a completely different reason. This summit was a brilliant act of what you could call narrative warfare.
This is the piece that turns it into a deep dive. The whole event was deployed to create a dominant positive news cycle. It was a masterclass in soft power, meant to define his papacy and, more importantly, obscure a darker story.
His record on the abuse crisis has these two totally contradictory narratives. The Hollywood summit reinforces the hero narrative.
The bridge builder, champion of the marginalized, the guy who cleaned up the SCV.
But then there's the persistent villain narrative, the one this summit was designed to just wash away. These are serious allegations that he mishandled other clerical abuse cases back when he was a bishop in Chiclayo and an official in Chicago.
And to be clear, we're not talking about small mistakes. We're talking about allegations that he signed off on placing a priest with credible accusations near a school. Survivor groups like SNAB held press conferences in Chicago. This story had legs.
So for a new papacy, that's a huge problem. It challenges your moral authority right out of the gate. So how do you stop it?
You execute a media flood. You leverage the biggest names in Hollywood to reinforce your hero story, and you just dominate the global news cycle.
Which brings us to the final, totally surreal layer of this, the movie pope meta-narrative.
This is my favorite part. The entire summit is built on this bizarre, self-aware coincidence.
Back in 1986, Columbia Pictures releases a movie called Saving Grace. The main character is a young, newly elected pope, and his name,
Pope Leo XIV.
and his baptismal name in the film, Robert.
I mean, you can't make this up. The real Pope Leo XIV is Robert Francis Prevost. He shares the exact same papal name and first name as this fictional movie pope from the 80s.
And the plot of the movie is that this fictional pope locks himself out of the Vatican and goes to help an impoverished Italian village.
Which is just a perfect, almost too on-the-nose metaphor for the real Pope Leo, who spent his life as a missionary in an economically marginalized nation.
So his decision to host a cinema summit as one of his first big cultural acts is this profound, self-aware wink at this history. He is leaning into the title of the movie pope.
And if you doubt for a second that he means it when he talks about challenging art, Just look at his list of favorite films. He released it days before the summit. Sure, you've got It's a Wonderful Life, The Sound of Music.
The crowd pleasers.
Right, but the really crucial pick on that list was Ordinary People.
Which is a complex, dark film about grief and trauma and mental health. It shows he gets that art isn't just about happy endings. It has to challenge and provoke tears, which is exactly the message he delivered to Hollywood.
Ultimately, that Hollywood summit was the keystone. It defined his leadership. He used his American identity and his love for film to send a message of inclusion and challenge, all while fighting a narrative war against his critics. It was a masterclass.
And it leaves you with this really provocative thought, especially for anyone listening who works in culture or media. How powerful have celebrity and entertainment become that the world's oldest, most entrenched institution now uses movie stars to define and defend its global strategy?
The fact that they saw this whole thing, the speeches, the star power, the controversy, not just as a press event, but as a tool to actively change the entire narrative, that's the real story that was exposed.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.